Hello everyone. Welcome to Gridiron Lineage, where we dive into the fascinating intersections of sports and history. If you're a college football fan, chances are you've heard Nick Saban's name come up a lot. Today we're taking a closer look at his legendary coaching tree and the massive influence he's had on the game of football. But before we get started, a quick shout out to the Useful Charts YouTube channel, which inspired this video. They do an awesome job with family trees of famous figures, and we definitely leaned on their style guide for this one. So whether you're a die-hard Alabama fan or just curious about the ripple effect coaches have across the football world, you're in for a treat. We'll unpack how Saban's coaching philosophy shaped and was shaped by coaches all over the country, and what that means for the sport today. Since we're a new channel, don't forget to hit that like button. If you spot any connections we've missed or want to add your own thoughts, drop a comment below, and of course, subscribe for more insights into sports and history. As you probably know, Nick Saban is best known for his legendary tenure at Alabama, where he's secured an impressive 6 national championships. But long before he became the intimidating figure pacing the sidelines in Tuscaloosa, Saban was an unassuming assistant coach under a man named Jerry Glanville. Now, let me quickly explain how this coaching tree works. Before any coach becomes a head coach, they typically serve as an assistant under someone else. Eventually, a team takes a chance on them, giving them their first head coaching role. And just like that, a new head coach is born. In Saban's case, Jerry Glanville is essentially his coach father, and the Houston Oilers his coach mother. Saban left the Oilers in 1991 to become the head coach at the Toledo Rockets. As for Glanville, after his time with the Oilers, he went on to coach the Atlanta Falcons before eventually moving away from high-level coaching, wrapping up his career at Portland State. Jerry Glanville's own coach father was a man named Hugh Campbell. Now, if you're mainly a fan of NFL or college football, you may not recognize the name. But for our Canadian football fans, Campbell is a legend. He's a member of the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, class of 2000, and the head coach who led the Edmonton Eskimos to 5 straight Grey Cup championships. After a short stint with the defunct USFL's LA Express, Campbell found himself with the Houston Oilers, only to be replaced by none other than Jerry Glanville after being fired. Interestingly, Campbell never served as an assistant coach, meaning he doesn't have a coach father of his own, which makes Nick Saban's direct coaching lineage rather short. However, it's through an adopted coaching connection that Saban's coaching tree starts to get a bit more interesting. Nick Saban's time at Toledo was brief, just 1 season, and for good reason. In 1992, he got a call from a man by the name of Bill Belichick, offering him the defensive coordinator position for the Cleveland Browns. Although their success in Cleveland was limited, Saban's work there didn't go unnoticed. This led to his next stop at Michigan State, where a major upset of number 1 ranked Ohio State put him on the national radar. That momentum carried him to LSU, where he captured his first national championship, the 2003 BCS title. Following his success with the Tigers, Saban was hired by the Miami Dolphins, but after 2 seasons he left the NFL for Alabama, where his career truly skyrocketed. With 6 more titles to his name, he's now widely considered the greatest college football coach of all time. As for Bill Belichick, his Cleveland years didn't define him. After serving as an assistant head coach and defensive coordinator with the Jets and Patriots, he finally found his true legacy when he became the head coach of the New England Patriots. There he won a record-setting 6 Super Bowls, building one of the most successful dynasties in NFL history. Naturally, Bill Belichick's success has led to an impressive coaching tree of his own. For the sake of brevity, here's a look at his active coaching children as of 2024. Kirk Ferentz, from their days with the Browns, now leads the Iowa Hawkeyes. Jed Fish, once with the Patriots, now coaches at Washington. Bill O'Brien, after stints at Penn State and the Houston Texans, eventually landed at Boston College. And finally, Jared Mayo, a former Patriots player turned coach, who took over as head coach of the Patriots when Belichick was fired in 2022. Of course, you can't talk about Bill Belichick without mentioning the legendary Bill Parcells. Parcells was the head coach of the New York Giants, where he would go on to win Super Bowl 21 and Super Bowl 25 before unexpectedly retiring early. That retirement didn't last long, though. He soon returned to coaching with the New England Patriots alongside Bill Belichick, where he led them to a Super Bowl appearance, only to come up short. It was after this loss that Parcells and Patriots' new owner, Robert Kraft, had a falling out. Due to contract restrictions, Parcells couldn't take another head coaching job right away. So instead, he joined the New York Jets as an advisor and named none other than Bill Belichick as the head coach. However, the NFL disallowed this action, and after the Patriots threatened legal action, the Jets finally named Parcells to full head coach, with Belichick being the assistant. There, Parcells would orchestrate a remarkable turnaround before abruptly retiring a second time in 1999, prompting Belichick's move to the Patriots. Despite Parcells' recommendation, he succeed him at the Jets. Parcells' final coaching stop would be 3 years later with the Dallas Cowboys, before finally retiring a third time for good. In 2013, he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It was at the Cowboys where he left one last legacy in one of his most successful coaching children, Sean Payton. Payton went on to coach the New Orleans Saints, leading them to a win in Super Bowl 44, though his tenure was marred by the infamous Bountygate scandal, which led to his firing. Payton is now the head coach of the Denver Broncos. At this point, it's worth highlighting just how staggering the success of Nick Saban and his coaching ancestors have been, even just 2 generations deep. Together, they account for an incredible 7 college national championships, 9 NFL Super Bowl victories, and 5 CFL Grey Cups. When you consider that both Bill Belichick and Nick Saban are guaranteed Hall of Fame selections, the Parcells-Belichick-Saban dynasty stands as one of the most successful coaching lineages of all time. But with all great dynasties, Saban's coaching lineage didn't always start with success. Bill Parcells secured the head coaching job at the New York Giants after the previous coach, Ray Perkins, resigned to take the head football position at Alabama. This means that Saban claims the Alabama throne not only through his paternal coaching lineage, but also through his maternal team connections. For Alabama fans watching this video, you might already know that while Saban's name is synonymous with success, Perkins' name isn't as well regarded, struggling to achieve the lofty expectations laid out for him. After his time at Alabama, Perkins went on to coach the Tampa Bay Buccaneers before eventually retiring. He passed away in Tuscaloosa in 2020, with very little to show in terms of accomplishments and accolades, at least compared to everyone we have looked at so far. Perkins has an intriguing twist to his coaching ancestry. Up until now, each coach has had one coach father. However, Perkins took the Giants' job at the conclusion of the 1978 San Diego Chargers season, a season that began with Tommy Prothro as head coach, but ended with Don Coryell taking over just 4 games in. This means Saban's coaching ancestry diverges into 2 distinct branches at this point. Let's start with Tommy Prothro. Before his time coaching the San Diego Chargers and LA Rams, Prothro had successful stints with Oregon State and UCLA. Known as a master technician of trick plays and an excellent evaluator of talent, his achievements at Oregon State and UCLA were significant enough to earn him induction into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1991. Prothro's coaching journey began with the legendary Red Sanders, a 1996 College Football Hall of Fame inductee who coached UCLA. Tragically, Sanders passed away before the 1958 season, reportedly while at a brothel, but he is still widely regarded as UCLA's most successful coach, famously leading the team to a coaches' championship in 1954 while saying, "Winning isn't everything, it's the only thing." There's another fascinating connection here. While coaching at Vanderbilt, Sanders had a young offensive line coach by the name of Bear Bryant. Although Bryant spent several years as an assistant at various schools, he eventually landed at Alabama. There, he led the Crimson Tide to 6 national championships and set the record for the most wins in college football. It was this legendary legacy that Ray Perkins was tasked with continuing after Bryant's retirement in 1982. Returning to Red Sanders, he coached alongside Bernie Moore, another Hall of Famer, at LSU. Moore started his coaching career under M.S. Bennett at Sewanee, a founding member of the SEC before it de-emphasized athletics, and Bennett in turn coached under Cap Williams at Penn. Cap Williams is notable for winning 2 national championships during the 1904 and 1907 seasons. Interestingly, he's the only coach in this lineage who won a national championship but was not inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. Williams succeeded George Washington Woodruff, a 1963 inductee and 3-time champion at Penn. Finally, George Washington Woodruff coached under Walter Camp, who is widely regarded as the father of college football. Camp played a pivotal role in shaping the game we know today, credited with several key innovations, including the forward pass, the establishment of 11-man teams, and the creation of the line of scrimmage. Interestingly, Camp had no prior coaching experience and served as a player coach at Yale. During his tenure, he led the Bulldogs to impressive success, winning multiple championships in the late 19th century. After leaving Yale, he continued to influence the sport through his work on rules committees and his contributions to sports journalism, going as far to meet with President Teddy Roosevelt to shape rules changes that made the game safer and more structured, thus wrapping up Perkins' lineage through Pro Throw. Now let's return to the 1978 Chargers season, which was completed under the leadership of Don Coryell. By all accounts, Coryell stands tall among the coaching dynasty of Parcells, Belichick, and Saban. Known for his Air Coryell offense, he began his career at then Division I AA San Diego State University, where he led the Aztecs to an impressive 3 consecutive national championships, albeit at a lower level of competition. This success earned him a promotion to head coach of the St. Louis Cardinals, the NFL franchise, not the baseball team, where he would continue to make a name for himself for emphasizing passing over running the ball. Eventually, he would coach for the Chargers, and much of the foundation of modern passing attacks can be traced back to his career. Coryell's achievements at SDSU and the NFL make him unique on this list, being inducted into both the College Football Hall of Fame and the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Coryell's Chargers team produced 2 notable coach sons. The first is Joe Gibbs, who led the Washington Redskins to 3 Super Bowl victories before stepping away from football to found a successful NASCAR team that won 5 Cup championships. The second is the iconic John Madden. Madden guided the Raiders to victory in Super Bowl XI and later became a beloved broadcaster, known for his engaging explanations and expressions during games. In the late 1990s, he also lent his expertise to a video game series that now bears his name. It's no surprise that he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1996. Coryell himself coached under USC legend John McKay, who before leaving to coach the Tampa Bay Buccaneers amassed 4 championships and was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1988. McKay himself had a notable mentor in Don Clark, who coached under Jess Hill at USC. During Hill's tenure, one of his assistant coaches was Al Davis. While Davis is known for his long tenure as the owner of the Oakland Raiders, he also made a name for himself as a coach before taking the reins of the franchise. Davis hired John Madden as head coach and was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1992 for his significant contributions to the game. At this point, it's fascinating to note that Ray Perkins' 3 direct coaching descendants, Parcells, Belichick, and Saban, along with his 5 direct coaching ancestors, Prothro, Coryell, Sanders, McKay, and more, are all in the Hall of Fame. Add in 2 coaching uncles, Gibbs and Madden, and you have a staggering total of 29 championships among them. Despite being surrounded by such a legacy of coaching success, Perkins himself had very little to show in terms of accolades. I'll leave you to draw your own conclusions, but it's intriguing to consider how someone in his position, with so many successful influences, could struggle to achieve similar recognition. Interestingly, Don Clark also had 2 coach fathers, but unlike Perkins, his lineage does not break, as Mortensen and Hill were co-head coaches, both coaching under Howard Jones at USC. Jones had a storied history of success, winning the Rose Bowl in 1931, 1932, and 1939, before sadly passing away from a heart attack prior to the 1941 season. He also led Iowa to undefeated seasons in 1921 and 1922, and contributed to Yale's legacy with a championship in 1909. Tracing Jones's coaching lineage is somewhat complex, but he served as an assistant under a trio of players-turned-coach at Yale, which links all the way back to Walter Camp. At this point, we return to Walter Camp, where our coaching ancestry converges. Saban can genuinely claim to have championship coach DNA, boasting an almost unbroken lineage of success that stretches back to the very beginnings of the sport. But coaching trees work in both directions. With Nick Saban's recent retirement, he has also cultivated many coach children who are now making their mark in the football world. Let's start with Brent Key at Georgia Tech and Ron Cooper at LIU, both first-time head coaches making their mark. Kurt Siganetti, after successful stops at IUP and Elon, now leads the team at Indiana. Jim McElwain, who previously coached at Colorado State before taking the Florida job and subsequently being fired, is now at Central Michigan. Mario Cristobal, who moved from Oregon to Miami, and Charles Huff, also a first-time head coach at Marshall, are part of this lineage. Additionally, Brian Daboll, who coaches the New York Giants, ties neatly back to the Parcells dynasty through his maternal team line at New York. But if this dynasty were to have an heir apparent, it would almost certainly be Kirby Smart. The formidable head coach at Georgia already boasts 2 national championships and is widely regarded as the best active head football coach at the collegiate level. From 2020 to 2023, he recorded a staggering 50 wins to 4 losses, albeit with 3 of those losses coming to Nick Saban. He corrected this by becoming only the 3rd coach son to defeat Saban in the 2021 College Football Playoff Championship game, rematch from earlier in the season. While time will tell, it's clear that Smart is well on his way to expanding his trophy collection and will likely add his name to the illustrious Parcells, Belichick, Saban dynasty. Smart has also begun to cultivate his own coaching children, who can be considered Saban's coaching grandchildren. Notable names include fellow SEC rival Sam Pittman at Arkansas, Fran Brown at Syracuse, and Dan Lanning, who replaced Cristobal at Oregon. Interestingly, Lanning was actually rumored to be a candidate to succeed Saban at Alabama, but chose to remain with Oregon in 2024. We're almost done, but I want to highlight 2 stepchildren of Saban, whose stories are too fascinating and intertwined not to share. In 2003 and 2004, Pete Carroll led USC to back-to-back national championships, spawning a coaching descendant, Lane Kiffin. Kiffin made headlines when he became the youngest ever NFL head coach at just 31 years old, taking the reins of the Oakland Raiders, hired by none other than distant ancestor Al Davis. Unfortunately, after a rocky tenure and reported tensions with Davis, Kiffin left for Tennessee, where he promised great success to the Vols. But when Carroll vacated the USC job to go to the Seahawks, Kiffin made the controversial decision to leave Tennessee for USC. Despite high expectations, Kiffin was eventually fired mid-season in 2013, reportedly on the tarmac of the airport after returning from a loss. This is where Steve Sarkisian enters the pictures. After Kiffin's exit, Sarkisian was hired as USC's head coach. Unfortunately, his time at USC was cut short due to off-field issues related to alcohol abuse, eventually being fired in 2015. Kiffin, now viewed as a coaching pariah, experienced a surprising turnaround when Nick Saban hired him as Alabama's offensive coordinator. Kiffin later remarked that this move saved his career, despite widespread criticism at the time. Their relationship was successful, yet strained, with Saban enforcing strict rules on the flamboyant Kiffin. When Kiffin was eventually let go by Saban for focusing on his new head coaching job at FAU instead of the upcoming national championship game, he was replaced as offensive coordinator by none other than Steve Sarkisian, also considered a coaching outcast, who also credits Saban for revitalizing his career. Sarkisian and Saban would enjoy success on the field, culminating in Saban's final championship in 2020. For good measure, when Sarkisian left Alabama for Texas, he was succeeded as offensive coordinator by coach uncle Bill O'Brien, freshly fired from the Texans. Sarkisian's journey concluded when he defeated Saban in 2023, joining fellow coach sons Kirby Smart and Jimbo Fisher, now retired, as the only ones to achieve the feat. And that just about wraps it up. From Lanning to camp, Saban's coaching tree is rich with championships and Hall of Famers. It's fascinating to see just how much success permeates this lineage, prompting us to wonder about the lessons and maxims that have been passed down through the generations. And let's not forget Ray Perkins. While you may not have hoisted a trophy, you played a crucial role in holding together one of the greatest coaching dynasties of all time. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Since this is a new channel, any likes, comments, or subscriptions really help us grow. If you spot any mistakes, please don't hesitate to let me know. I'll also leave a link to this chart in the description if you'd like to print it out or take a look at it yourself.